Hello, 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 everyone. We just letting everyone in from the waiting room. Welcome, welcome, welcome. People are getting their audio together. You're coming in on mute, but we welcome you to this workshop. And this is our healthcare workshop for entrepreneurs. We know how important healthcare, having good health plans and health insurance is for the entrepreneurship community. So as many questions as we get about funding, we get almost as many about healthcare. That's how important it is for individuals and their families, and also those of us who are employers, helping us meet the need of our employees and providing good, affordable, quality healthcare and healthcare that is going to be beneficial to them and their families as well. So this is the healthcare workshop for entrepreneurs. Myself, She Boss Talk is partnered with DAC Healthcare because we believe in the importance of healthcare. If you don't have health, you can't have wealth. So they equally important. And I have struggled myself. I've had challenges with getting health insurance for myself. And so I know how difficult it is. I recently experienced a health scare. And so I didn't want to ever be in a situation where I have a medical need like I did, and I didn't have health care. And there was a period of time that I didn't, and it wasn't for lack of trying. It was very challenging for me. So when I found out about DAC Health Care and Health Share, and you'll learn more about Health Share because we have a special guest here today that's going to educate us and inform us on the Health Share plan. When I found out about it, I was like all in trying to find out what it was like, what the benefits were. And I found it to not only be a really good plan for me and my personal situation, that's why they personalize it. But also when I met with the consultants, it was like a friend that was looking out for my best interest. They weren't like trying to sell me on anything. They were really doing what I do for you all, is to educate and inform you and really get to know you and your situation to see they think is the best health plan for you. And if it's not health share and it's something else, they will let you know. So they're looking out for your best interest. If they weren't a company of integrity, we wouldn't be here. But I believe that all of us should be educated and informed. And tonight, I have with me Jake Norman. He is an expert in this, and so I thank him for joining us. And I wanted to welcome you, Jake.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Now, this is not to just overload you with a whole bunch of information. We really want this to be engaging. You all know your own personal situation. So we bring the questions about your own individual circumstances, not overly personal, that you don't have to do that. But if you need answers to make a decision, you're going to get it here. So we welcome you all to be able to do that. You can put it in the chat. You can also use the raised hand feature and let us know you have a question or you have something to say, and we will bring you into the conversation. Okay, so with that, we're going to get started, make this really good, quick, and to the point, and let you all go on about your evening. All right, I turn it over to you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. With DAC Healthcare, one of the things that we wanted to do with this and is basically partner with a company that has access to entrepreneurs and solopreneurs. And we know that with a lot of entrepreneurs who are starting off, sometimes they have 0 employees, sometimes they have a few employees. And they know that one of the ways to keep top talent and to retain top talent to increase revenue is to be able to provide benefits. Unfortunately, for these smaller companies and these solopreneurs, it's really challenging these days to find anything that is somewhat competitive with regards to price. And as companies try to grow to scale, one of the hardest things that they experience is being able to contain costs in the process. And unfortunately, the number two line item for most companies, especially the medium-sized to large-sized companies, are going to be payroll. Payroll, and then number two is going to be healthcare. So you've got healthcare as a huge concern, and we're seeing companies, unfortunately, having to just overpay for poor quality benefits. And so where we come in as a solution is that we provide a robust selection of plan combinations and options for employers to choose from. And she did mention one of them, which is ClearShare. This is our most robust, innovative option for benefits, for especially for small employers. I also happen to specialize and kind of run our small group sales division. And we oftentimes lead with our ClearShare products because it is the most innovative way for employers and employees to have access to more cost-effective plan options, giving them better benefits when they actually have to use the plan. The hard part, in addition to what we talked about earlier with companies, is that these plans are not only expensive on the monthly side, costing employers and employees quite a bit of money in their fixed monthly costs, but oftentimes the cost at the point of sale is also unsustainable and oftentimes not affordable for employees. And so our goal was to create plans and solutions that gave employees not only a lower fixed monthly cost, but also a lower cost at the point of sale. Meaning, we don't want employees to have to go bankrupt if they need to go get an MRI. We don't want them to avoid getting an MRI because it costs too much because they have a $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000 deductible, and they, quite frankly, can't afford a $2,000 expense for an MRI. And so there's the passion that we have with this. And with companies that are young and a lot smaller, ClearShare does happen to be one of our most popular insurance alternatives. That's a great solution for small to medium-sized businesses. We also have our own subset of major medical insurance policies that we've created and designed and that are available to small groups as well. So what I wanted to do is just kind of highlight some of the features that are available on these types of plans, that would be important, I think, for entrepreneurs and solopreneurs. So for those solopreneurs, I'm just going to talk real quickly onto this, okay? For those who have their own business, maybe they don't have any employees, right? But they still find it difficult to find some sort of quality benefit option. And, in a lot of instances, they'll go to healthcare.gov, but sometimes they're making way too much money to qualify for a subsidy. So the costs are way too expensive. And sometimes we find that people, as a result, just don't even go with health insurance. And so, what we're seeing with our ClearShare plans, especially for entrepreneurs who are, self-employed, no employees, et cetera, is that we're saving an average of $8,000 a year just in their monthly costs alone. And for employers who happen to have, employer-sponsored health coverage for their employees, we're seeing employers save an average of $4,000 per employee per year. And these are for companies that range anywhere from 3 lives to 20. And so the savings here is quite significant when you look at the fixed costs, and then the benefits continue to outweigh what a lot of plans have to offer on the marketplace today. Now, when we're talking specifically about employer-sponsored health coverage, when we have companies up to 25, these ClearShare products are extremely innovative and effective, and we are seeing an average of $4,000 per employee annually. I just enrolled a group of 12 employees, and we literally were able to save them $3,900 per employee per year. When we did the math based on what they were paying before and what we were able to quote them, those were the savings that they had based on the renewals. Now, all of our plans have a nationwide PPO network. We provide an insurance-like taste, touch, feel, and look when it comes to using these ClearShare plans. Meaning people can go to the doctor within the PPO network and they can get preventative coverage. They can get access to copays to see doctors, specialists, and they'll even have access to copays for diagnostics like x-rays and MRIs. In fact, an MRI on our sponsored plans that we recommend for employers is $200 in network, and $400 out of network. And so it's really nice to be able to provide these lower costs at the point of sale for employees so they actually feel comfortable being able to use their plan and manage their healthcare in a more proactive way, as opposed to being reactive because they're too afraid to use the healthcare system, afraid it's going to cost too much with the current insurance they have today. And you can see some of the features here that go into where we really shine in saving people money. First of all of our plans come with a free telemedicine service. This is my family is on these plans, and this is literally our first line of defense. And outside of an emergency room visit or a preventative care visit, we usually always start with our free telemedicine service. If they can diagnose what you're experiencing over the phone, they're able to send a prescription into your pharmacy to be picked up. And there is no cost to schedule an appointment with one of these doctors. So I really like some of the things that we've done to try to provide individuals and employees and employers better access to care, quicker access to care, and lower cost options when accessing that care. We also have mental health support, which a lot of times you'll see companies purchase benefits for their employees, and then they'll also go and contract with some of these other entities like Talkspace and purchase a mental health solution for their employees to have as well to increase morale. Well, the great news about all of our plans is that we actually partnered with Talkspace to put their benefits for therapy and psychiatry onto all of our plans, meaning your employees will have access to mental health in ways in which we can try to promote wellness, better morale, and hopefully productivity when they use those services. So in addition to the out-of-pocket savings that we discussed, in addition to the mental health support and the telemedicine, we have a lot of options in which you can try to find the best plan at the best price. So what we can do here, if we were to talk about next steps, like, hey, I am really interested in this, I want to learn more. First of all, I'll get to answer your questions, which is I'm really excited about because I want to hear what you guys have to say. But second of all, it is a really easy process here, because here's the deal. When you are utilizing DAC Healthcare, you actually get access to an agency known as Clearwater Benefits, which has consultants, including myself, on staff to help you navigate and compare and analyze all the current options you have available to you. So if you have a broker that you're currently working with and you have a renewal period and you want to see what else is out there, we can help you analyze and compare that. And the best thing about this is, if we feel like your company is on the best plan for what's needed for your employees, we're going to let you know. We are an advocate in your corner trying to help you find the best plan for the best price. And sometimes it's not ours. And we want to make sure that you know that, because when you're working with health insurance, it's not uncommon to have several people reaching out trying to sell you something where they're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. And ultimately, I think the biggest benefit that any company can have is knowing that they have someone in their corner who can actually act as like their third-party HR benefits coordinator, giving them the best possible solutions. So this is basically something that I'm going to share in the chat here just at the end of this. And Shante, if you want to share it as well, I know you have these links too. You can put these in the chat. So if you are a company that has, anywhere from 3 employees and up, this is what you get to use. You actually get to schedule a 30-minute Zoom meeting with someone on my team to discuss your benefits options, get a quote. And the great thing about these ClearShare plans, you get a quote on the first call that you get. You get access to pricing on the very first call. If you work with a traditional broker and you try to get what, like a more of like an underwritten plan, sometimes the turnaround time for that is 10 to 14 days, sometimes even 21 days. So being able to have immediate access to this really helps the point of sale go a lot faster, helps you guys make a quicker decision so you know exactly what you're up against and what you're dealing with. And that way you can rest with peace of mind that you've made the best decision for you. So booking that discovery meeting is really important. And we're going to put a link in the chat that will give you access to this. And my recommendation is, whether you're ready to do this right now, or whether you're ready to do this at another time, maybe your renewal is until March or April, or you want to look at this more in Q1 or Q2 after Q4 settles. Understandable. Take this link and bookmark it. save it, and when you're ready, use it and schedule that discovery meeting. Now,
Jake,
some of you on this call,
Jake, we have a question from one of our participants. They say, what about if they have a company as just them and their partner, their business
yep,
partner, or their
perfect segue. So in that scenario, our company isn't really able to do what's called a list bill for anything under 3 employees, but it doesn't mean we can't help them. And so we have another link that we're going to put in the chat for our solopreneurs and those entrepreneurs who are like, the husband and wife, they run the business together. Well, the great news about it with the way that these plans are set up is that we don't have to put the husband and wife on 2 separate plans. We just put them on one plan as member or employee plus spouse. And so we have another link for that. For you solopreneurs or for you people who have 1 to 2 employees, there's a link that you can use that actually gets connected with a separate division on our team that specializes in working with entrepreneurs, 1099s, and business owners who have 1 employee, maybe 2 employees that need access to care and coverage. So in that link, you'll have the ability to schedule the same type of 30-minute consultation. But instead of us going through more of a group presentation for employees, you get a quote immediately that's customized just for you based on the needs analysis that you get from one of our consultants. And you'll have the opportunity to enroll. And the beauty for this for solopreneurs is that with our ClearShare plans, we are able to enroll members year round. We are not subject to the same open enrollment periods that we see on healthcare.gov. We also have some major medical policies that are available year round as well. They come with some waiting periods before they go into effect, but they are still available for those solopreneurs and smaller to medium-sized businesses. And so with that, I just want to make sure I look at the chat here. Dante, did you put those links in the chat yet?
Yes, I added them to the chat.
Okay, perfect. So guys, let's take a second before you actually go in or before we go on and start answering questions, just pull those up. You don't have to do anything right now, but pull them up and have them on your screen and bookmark them. Or if you want to go through and, schedule something just to see what this is all about, we highly recommend doing that as well.
So we have some conversation in the chat. So I want to just make sure we answer their questions. So the link for to book for solopreneurs is in the chat, as well as if you are an employer like myself and you have an employees, that link is in the chat. Now we have a question. So those links for those that are asking, they're in your chat. So click on the chat feature and you will see all of the conversation and information there. And then someone is saying there's no link. So hold on, maybe I sent it to individuals. Hold on, let me resend them. Okay, so someone added it in the chat. So hopefully you all are seeing them. We'll put it back in the chat. So I have to make sure. Okay. And someone had another person had a question here. Let me go back. I'm a licensed agent looking for health insurance plan options for solopreneurs. Are these plans qualified health plans? Is the question.
Yes, they are ACA compliant. All of our health share plans are ACA compliant in all 50 states. We have ways in which we can, make it all health share for the states that have a mandate, but we've sold our health share plans to companies that have 400, 500 employees. And because of how we design them and how we put them together, they are 100% ACA compliant and fulfill all of the needs for any companies over 50 employees or even under 50 employees. And no, these are not short-term medical plans. And that's important because with the short-term medical plans, those are options that are still technically insurance. However, they have a lot more limitations when it comes to pre-existing conditions, meaning, we've seen people who took a medication for anxiety or depression like 5 or 10 years ago. And when they go through the underwriting, that ends up flagging them and they can be denied and not have access to care or coverage. So, we have some limitations with our particular ClearShare plans, but when you go through those consultations, our consultants will detail that in full transparency, so you know how to make the best decision based on the options you have available to you.
We have another question. It says for Katara, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Does this kind of insurance cover every area of insurance? So I don't know what that means.
Well, so if I understand that correctly, it doesn't have like life or PNC or any of that sort of stuff. We are strictly talking about health benefits that are administered. So these would be just your basic health benefits, from preventative services to doctor's visits to prescriptions, and of course all of the big stuff associated with it. Our plans do come with some ancillary products like dental and vision, as well as some indemnity plans, like for accident and critical illness. So those are available at like an extra, like, cost not included with the price of the plan. But yes, those are some of the additional options that we provide.
Can you speak a little bit on that? Because when I signed up, that's what I got. I think I got all of it, I think, including the critical care. Can you speak on that, the critical care piece?
For critical care,
Yeah.
what's the question specifically on it? Let me see.
Um, there's not a specific question. Just
Okay. So when it comes to the large medical bills on health share, one of the things we're seeing so here's an example. On the marketplace today, the average out-of-pocket max for an individual is $9,450. And I'm seeing, even for companies, that the out-of-pocket max, the deductible ultimately is what it is, and it can help some in terms of how it provides additional support on the day-to-day side of things. But at the end of the day, if somebody needs a surgery, the out-of-pocket max is really what matters. And we are seeing, for small companies, out-of-pocket maxes ranging anywhere from $8,000 to $9,400. Our annual maxes for ClearShare range anywhere from $1,000 to $2,500 to $5,000. We had a real estate agent who's on our plan, who unfortunately during the peak of COVID got COVID and spent 16 weeks in the ICU. He incurred $2.2 million in medical bills, and he spent $2,500 in total. And there's an area in which we really truly try to save people money on what they have to pay out based on how our plans are designed.
can you repeat that? I don't want that to go over people's heads. So that is what I was talking about. That's why I signed up for it. So can you talk about again the savings? Because
Mhm.
instead of paying like 8,000 and then still having to pay after that and not being able to afford it, which is why a lot of times people go into bankruptcy, right?
Mhm.
Then you don't have that much that you pay out of pocket. Like there's a maximum.
Right. Yeah. And on some plans, there are maximums. So with our plans, for any new medical need, there are no maximums, unless it's some sort of special circumstance that's outlined in the guidelines for that particular plan. And so, we had an employee on our plan who got a rare form of bladder cancer. And had she gone undiagnosed or untreated, within 12 months, she would have died. The most she would spent was $1,000, and she incurred over $400,000 in medical bills. And when it comes to the large medical bills, she had the freedom to go wherever she wanted to go. There was no network restriction that she had available to her, so we didn't have to worry about what's called balanced billing or out of network charges or any surprise charges, because all of that was taken care of through the way that these plans are set up.
That's good. And I believe the lady that had asked earlier about the insurance does it cover other insurance, she mentioned that she meant like dental. So I know that
Yep.
I think those are add-ons too, like right, dental and optometry
Mhm.
are some
Dental and vision are on there. Yeah, we can add those as ancillaries. They're never included in the cost of the traditional health coverage, but yes, those are definitely things that employees would have access to have as well.
these are really good questions for all of our participants. So thank you so much. One Juanita is asking, what are the networks like? This is one of the things that sold me on it.
Yeah, so the network, it's a nationwide PPO network. And the beauty of a PPO is this: a lot of people think that PPOs mean you could go to any doctor you want to see. And that's not necessarily true. But what it does mean is this: is you have direct access to specialty care without having to go to a primary physician first to get then referred out to a specialist. And so and typically, yes, PPO networks do have a much larger network of doctors that do contract with it. HMOs are pretty large, but still quite a bit smaller than most PPOs. And then, of course, on the marketplace, you'll also see networks called EPOs. But the problem with EPOs and HMOs and getting plans through the marketplace is if you travel for business or if your employees travel at all for business, they may not receive any sort of day-to-day coverage if they go to a different location outside of that area. And so, that's where a lot of the out-of-network bills and things like that can go, can really start to challenge people, which is where, with our ClearShare plans, we know that we can help people in any state. And if they travel, we have support in ways in which we can take care of them in any state as well for the big stuff and for the day-to-day side of things. On the monthly cost side of things, Kiana, with that, it ultimately depends on what we end up recommending for the group. Our ClearShare plans, they'll run, there's about 50 different combinations that we have. So it's kind of difficult to kind of nail down at what a rough cost is. But what I can guarantee you is that when you schedule that meeting, you will get a price at the same time of that call or right after that call, via email. You'll get a pricing table and ways in which you can start to line that out. So that's one of the things I like about it is that, even though we have tons of combinations, as soon as you have that conversation with someone on our team, you're going to get a price on that day. And even quicker for solopreneurs, for those who are just looking for coverage just for themselves, you can actually go in and just get a quote for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So there are ways in which you can do that. But yeah, I would recommend, kind of going through that process and seeing what might be recommended first before we throw out kind of ballpark pricing.
Yeah. So I personally recommend, like, the process that I went through is I requested the code, but I booked a call to speak to someone. And so I knew the price before I got off the call, and what my options were.
Yeah.
So that's great. Great question. There was an agency question. Yeah, so I think he answered this about solopreneur and family plans are available, correct? Yes.
So when you say, yes, they are available, that's correct. And you would use that solopreneur link basically to get connected with them. And you would basically just say, who all would be on the plan? Oh, it's my spouse and my kids. Okay, great. And then we would quote you based on, a member plus family type plan. Does the agency pay premiums or are they paid by the staff? So for smaller companies, we can sometimes navigate it to where the staff or the employees self-enroll. And then if the employer wants to contribute anything towards their, towards their monthly spend, then they can provide them like a healthy living stipend. But, typically for groups 3 and above, we'll typically do what's called that list bill, where then the employer takes on the entire cost of all the elected employees. And then they pull from their checks whatever they do not wish to contribute.
Awesome. Thank you.
On the pre-existing condition limitations, Tammy, that's a great question. It's a little bit kind of long-winded and involved. But again, those are things that do get talked about. Like when I do my employer consultations, one of my slides that I go through are the limitations towards things like pre-existing conditions. So we talk about that in detail and we give access to our member guidelines so people can read through them and kind of study them and see if this would ultimately be a fit for them. So that is definitely something that we address when they schedule. But the good news is what I can tell you is that our plans do not deny people for any sort of pre-existing condition. They just have waiting periods in the event of ongoing treatment or a recurrence of a pre-existing condition in the form of like going to the emergency room or needing a surgery, etc.
Now, can I give an example in my case? So when I was having my consultation, when I went into my consultation, like I let them know I have high blood pressure, but it's not really, although it is a pre-existing condition, it's not really considered it as far as like any restrictions, because I did not have any major issues with my blood pressure in the last 12 months. So those are things that, again, on a personal basis, they will discuss with you and let you know how that is, what impact that's going to have. But coming in, that it wasn't an issue for me or for me getting a plan that I have. I have I have was diagnosed with high blood pressure because I'm managing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
um,
Yep, that's exactly right. And so lots of variables like that, but we'll be able to shoot you straight on, on all of those factors and kind of how all of that plays in and how that would apply to your company. So, like I said, one of the things I like about this is that the way that we're set up is a lot different than your typical broker. We're
mhm.
very transactionally based. And what that means is, listen, we're going to tell you everything straight up as it is, give you prices, and say, hey, do you want this or not? You like these options? Is this suitable for your company? And if we need to find you some different solutions or make other recommendations until you're ready to move forward to something like this, then we can do that. But ultimately, we want to make this as easy of a lift for you as possible because we understand that for smaller companies, they don't have HR who can do a lot of due diligence and digging and shopping and all of that. You guys are oftentimes wearing multiple hats, and dealing with this can be really challenging. So if we can take the legwork off of your hands, you can rest assured that we'll make the right solutions and then allow you to, basically just make a decision and then we move forward.
Same,
Um,
that again, the sim is that the similar for those that are solopreneurs.
yep, exactly. Very much so. For solopreneurs, we actually work with a ton of real estate agents. That's been one of our largest markets of solopreneurs. And they have their own brokerage, but they don't have any like W-2 staff or anything like that, but they have their own brokerage. And we work with them all the time. And we're basically like their dedicated HR person who finds them multiple different options, et cetera. So it is a huge, and oftentimes those who meet with us, if we can't recommend a plan to them and we say that you need to stay put where you are, they're super grateful for that, just because they took the time to meet with someone. They were educated about, analyzing as many options as possible that were valuable or viable, and they realized that they needed to stay put. And honestly speaking, that is a huge sign of relief when people are trying to shop for this, because a lot of times this is the last thing that they want to do. And they're also doing a bunch of stuff in Q4 to try to figure out what they need to do for their business to close the books. But on top of that, they also have to find this thing called health insurance. So, we want to make that lift for individuals as easy as possible. And we hope that whatever products that we have in store can be a great solution for companies and solopreneurs.
Did we answer Kiana's question about, she said, are plans individualized?
Yeah, so they're individualized when you're going in as an individual. Yeah, we'll customize it. Like I said, we have over 50 different options. With our group policies, when we're list billing, that type of stuff, we're typically going to, narrow those options so it's not so overwhelming for the employer or the employee. And we typically try to find the most user-friendly option for employees, giving them a really low cost experience at the point of sale.
Awesome. There's another question. Do agency, I don't know, we answered this one, but I don't remember.
I think
Do
we did. Yeah.
agencies
Yeah.
pay the
Well,
premium or the staff?
yes. Yes. Yeah, we talked about that in the options in terms of,
Okay.
can the employer take on all of the total monthly contributions, or do the employees have to pay it? And there's two different ways that we can navigate that depending on the size of the company.
Okay, shout out to Donna who was able to get her sound together. You're welcome. Um, can this insurance be used to go to weight loss clinic or office?
I don't no, there's a couple of things in the member guidelines that have some information about weight loss. There's definitely some limitations around that. But ultimately, that's definitely something that gets addressed when you're talking with one of our consultants.
All right, let me just go through and see if there's any more questions.
And if you haven't already, make sure you guys have those links on your browsers or bookmarked somewhere. I promise you that you're going to come up with more questions after you get off of this Zoom. And so, the best thing to do is to schedule a call with one of the consultants. It's free, so you're not wasting anything but time if there's nothing that we can provide you. But I can guarantee you that the way that we operate, there's a lot of education and insight. And oftentimes our employers feel super relieved at the fact that they had somebody as an advocate in their corner helping them to find something so that they could just focus on what they do best, which is their job. And so, I highly recommend taking that opportunity, especially if you have more questions, and go through the process, see what it's like. And you're checking a box, so to speak, for yourself and for your employees if you have any.
Awesome. We have like 5 minutes. If you have any more questions, let us know now. Put it in the chat. If you have anything else you have questions on, or clarifications, like he said, the links are in the chat. So you can save the chat. So you should see, like, if you click on the chat, you see 3 buttons to the right. You can save the chat and it would download to your computer so you have it. But what we would do is we will be sending out the recording with all the information and with all the links. So you don't have to worry about it. If you came in later and missed the beginning, you don't have to worry about that because you'll have access to the recorded replay. And
Yeah.
again,
I
go
see
ahead.
a question in here about prescription discounts. So with we have prescription drug formulary in all of our plans. All generic drugs are free. And then we've got some other prices depending on the plan that's chosen on what preferred brand or non-preferred brand medications are. Our group rates available to associations or non-employer groups. So, and associations, those work a little bit differently. Sometimes those associations, depending on the size, want to work out more of a partnership or an agreement or an appointment. If those things are ever of interest to that association, they can always get connected with us. And you can actually use that same small group sales or the group sales, link, and we can get y'all pointed in the right direction with those associations.
Yes. And the question about the prescription discounts, when we start the recording, we will be following up with you all as well, because we have DAC Healthcare has another program as well that can be very beneficial for you. So we'll make sure that you get access to that as well. Or RX program. So let me clarify, RX program for that.
It does not pay for fitness exercise. There are some like Blue Cross Blue Shield plans that'll try to provide memberships, but our plans are like incentives for like fitness memberships, but our plans are typically designed for healthy individuals that, they're more cost effective as a result. So the savings in and of itself far outweigh a little bit of a contribution towards a gym membership, if that makes sense.
These are great questions. It's exciting to see that people, they are really care about their health and are really looking for good health care. And this is the best time because we know that it's open enrollment period, and a lot of times you can't get into another insurance plan until open enrollment comes. So that's why we wanted to hold this workshop now, so that you can educate yourself. And it's always good to look at different options. Even if you've been on a plan for so long, things change all of the time. So you do want to open yourself up to look at what options are out there. I personally think this is a good one. That's why I decided to sign up with it. Not only get the health share, but also get the critical illness. And I think I had some other add-ons that was beneficial for me. And I look at it from not just an individual standpoint, I look at it for my family as well. So I pass this along to my family because they need healthcare. They're have family. I don't have children, but I can just imagine. I don't even have to imagine. We discussed how expensive it is for my siblings and my other relatives who do have children. It's an added cost. So these are all the things that you need to look at when you're thinking about deciding on your health care. And then as an employer of people, I'm looking for the best healthcare plans for my employees as well. So I know some of you are doing the same. Okay, you're so welcome. Okay, so there are a lot of thanks for us and putting on this event. See, we don't want to be gatekeepers of information. If we have a new program that we think would be a benefit for you, we want you to be educated, informed, and make it the best decision for you and your family. So we were able to do that today. We thank you so much, Jake, for being on with us today. And again, look out for the recording. We will send it within at least 48 hours. And then you can continue ask your questions and then book a consultation. Any last words, Jake, before we close out?
No, just thank you for the time. I'm always happy. We're always happy to serve people. We're always happy to help people find better plans at better prices, educate them, and provide insight. So, look forward to seeing you guys on our end. And thank you for your time. It's been a great one.
Thank you all. Thank you all. You can have your time back now. Have a great evening.